Fish and Wildlife Board. My name is Brad Ferlin, and I'm chair. And we will start by introducing members. And we'll start over here on the left.
Richard Craig Lamoille. Neil Hogan Bennington.
Jeff Corey Franklin.
Ryan Kilborn Orange.
Brad Ferlin again, Caledonia County.
Martin Van Buren, Rutland County.
Nick Burnham, Windsor County.
Paul Noel, Orleans County.
John Nelson Jackman, Washington County.
And members online, Allison, we'll start with you.
Allison Frazier, Chittenden County.
Beth.
Beth Dimeling, Grand Isle County.
Okay, and are either Dave or Bob online with us?
Yes, this is Bob. I'm here, Addison County.
Okay. Welcome, everybody. And I will turn over to Acting Commissioner Shortsleeve and introduce herself and the department staff that's with us tonight.
Great. Hi. Yep. My name is Andrea Shortsleeve, interim commissioner of the Fish and Wildlife Department. And then I will send it over to Nick.
Nick Forden, Deer and Moose Project Leader.
Don Austin, Director of Wildlife.
David Sausville, Program Manager.
Sean Paul, Wildlife Outreach.
Paxton McMahon, Summer Law Clerk. Ian Smith, General Counsel. Abigail Connolly, Principal Assistant Commissioner. Major General Report.
Then online, Megan, do you mind introducing yourself?
Hi, I'm Megan Dooney with the Information Program for Fish and Wildlife.
Thank you. And then Tony?
Tony McCula, Upland Game Bird Biologist.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner and staff and everybody. First item on the agenda tonight is the approval of the minutes from June 18th, 2025. Everyone have a chance to read the minutes? Everyone okay with them? Okay, if I could have a motion to accept them.
Make a motion to accept the minutes.
And a second?
Yeah.
And I have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it. The minutes are approved. Next item on the agenda is for public comments, and we will have speakers are welcome to 2 minutes. And there's a sign-in sheet over there for anybody who's wanted to. Okay, first up from Mendon, we have Justin Lindholm.
I'm not going to make any friends here tonight. I am going to protest in front of the State House next legislative session on the sidewalk. I've done it 27 times in a row every day on another bill to get the legislature to turn a 180, both houses of the legislature and Shumlin. I'm going to do it about this shooting does with rifles. I have seen a lot of presentation and I've not seen any pushback. I grew up in a scientific community and there was bad science presented, like this thing of down in Delaware, there's negligible predation was presented to this board. Nobody questioned it. There's been excellent science in Pennsylvania. Nobody brought it up. I brought it up. I was thinking somebody would bring it up to the department. They've done a lot of other foolishness to get this thing. Now, you've got 6 ways other than killing does during rifle season. Let's try those 6 first. And when they do add rifle season, what's going to happen next is they're going to have to immediately, in fact, the department says they're going to immediately drop the doe permits. Okay. What's going to happen? The haves who have land will stand a better chance, far better than the have-nots who don't own land. And yet they're all still going to pay the $10 fee. Now, if that doesn't stir up the legislature, I'd like to know what does. And I'm sick of this lack of science. I grew up in a very scientific community. These natural research scientists were the best in the world. They were the first ones to get moon dust to experiment with it. They taught me scientific discipline. I saw very little of it during all this presentation. I went to 3 meetings. I was shoved onto this board because of scientific discipline. I didn't even okay it. I just found out I was now on it. And That's what, I mean, I only got 2 minutes to talk. But I am not happy with that part. Either do only the does during rifle season or do the other 6. But you put them all together? Oh, my Lord Almighty. This is stunning. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. Next up, we have Rob Coronado of Orange.
Good evening, everybody. I hope everybody is staying cool and having a great summer. I just read that Phil Scott proclaimed July Lake Appreciation Month, which I thought was really cool because I've been working on loon watching and reporting and surveying with Vermont Center for Eco Studies. They do annually a loon count that happens every 3rd Saturday in July. That'll be this Saturday. So if you're staying at a pond and you want to get online, they have a full breakdown of all the lakes, which was me reporting on it. It's a great system, citizen science. It gives folks like us that are wildlife advocates a way to turn our recreation into like data, science that'll help protect the species. On the one hand, I've also been reading that since lead was banned, there's been an uptick again in loon deaths, and the #1 cause is fishing entanglement and lead poisoning. So that's something that I would also like to work with the department as an angler and work with beginning anglers to educate them more about the impacts of leaving broken line, you know, things that you can do, put a little short tippet on so that if it snaps, you're only leaving 18 inches or so rather than a whole length. And it's just made me more conscious about growing social tolerance as an angler. You know, I want people to support fishing, and I think that it's on us to help out species. I believe that when you take something for the resource, you have an obligation to help protect it and ensure that it continues going. So check that out. Loon watching this Saturday from 6 to 10 a.m. I'm going to be at Molly Falls. Bob's been helping out too. And thanks for your time.
Thank you, Rob. Bert, let's know. Did anybody else that just stepped in have any public comments that they'd like to make? If not, okay. Is there anybody online that would like to take advantage of the 2 minutes for public comments? If so, raise your hands. Nobody? Okay. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for that. Next up, items 3, 4, and 5 are to 3 and 4 rather are the final votes, third votes on the rules that we have recently approved and that have since gone to LCAR and been approved by LCAR. So the first will be the proposed turkey rule changes. Do I want to turn this over to the department and make one last presentation to us, or are we just going right to the rule?
I think Tony's available to answer any questions that anyone has. Hannah, was there anything that you wanted to update about this rule?
No, I just would offer that a quick overview of where we are in the process. The board reviewed the proposed changes to the rule in February, had a first vote, a subsequent public comment period that extended through May 25th. At your June meeting, there was a second vote that approved the rules with some minor changes following the public comment period. Last week, those rules that you approved in your second vote were approved by LCAR. So tonight, you have the opportunity for a third vote, which would be to adopt the rules as approved by LCAR. And we will do them one at a time. So there will be a vote on each of the 4 rules separately. And there were no, turkey season's rule as approved by LCAR was the rule that you all approved in your second vote to extend the fall archery season. And I would turn it over to Tony if there are any substantive questions at this point.
Any questions for Tony at this point?
I just want to make sure that there was an error in the shot size I noticed a while back. That's been resolved.
Yes, that was corrected in the very first version, the changes were imposed on the previous version of the rule. We corrected that and made sure that the right rule was filed with ITAR and LCAR and the Secretary of State. So the rule that was approved by LCAR and by you in the second vote has the correct shot size. It's got the also novice turkey hunting.
Okay, see, okay, only number 2 or smaller, so it's, okay, there's no limit other than be smaller than 2 or smaller.
Right, and none of that language was changed during this rulemaking process. That was just an administrative error in the language that was the version of the rule that was provided.
Thank you.
Okay, Tony, anything you want to share with us? At this point, I think everyone.
Yeah, I think
okay.
Abigail covered it pretty well. There's been no changes to any of the language since your last vote.
Okay, thank you. So with that said, if everyone is okay with the proposed turkey rule, can I get a motion on the rule?
Make a motion that we accept our turkey rule.
Second.
Okay, and I will take a roll call vote. If you are in favor of the rule as proposed and as voted on previously, signify by saying yes, and opposed, no. Nicholas Burnham,
Yes.
Jeff Corey,
Yes.
Richard Craig,
Yes.
David Dean, absent. Beth Daimling,
Yes.
myself, yes. Allison Frazier,
Yes.
Neil Hogan,
Yes.
Linda Hook is absent. Ryan Kilburn,
Yes.
Paul Noel,
Yes.
Robert Patterson,
Yes.
John Valsil Giacomo,
Yes.
and Martin Van Buren.
Yes.
Okay, the rule passes 12-0. Final vote. Okay, the next item number 4, is the proposed deer moose regulation changes. And Hannah, would you suggest that this is one vote or is this 3 separate votes?
This will be 3 separate.
3 separate votes? Okay. Okay, so the first vote will be for 10 VSA section 17, rule governing importation and possession of cervids from chronic wasting disease endemic areas and captive hunt or farm facilities.
And Brad, I will make one note on this rule. The changes were pretty much administrative here. They were just changing language that referred to deer and elk to cervids. In the very last section, section 5.2, there was one change that was made for LCAR, and it was just to change the language stating that farm facilities don't include, or for the purpose of this rule, farm facilities don't include facilities located in Vermont. And previously it said in compliance with the provisions of AAFM's rules, it was changed to say subject to the provisions of AAFM's rules. The purpose of that change was to eliminate any obligation on the Department of Fish and Wildlife to determine compliance. AAFM's rules are comprehensive. They cover a lot of ground. Our objective is to assess facilities that are subject to those rules and rely on AAFM to enforce their rules. So again, it was determined by LCAR to not be a substantive change, but I wanted the board to be aware of that word change.
Okay. Was that was the intent of your proposal to do what ultimately it does say?
Yes, it was just to exempt facilities that are under the purview of AAFM.
Okay.
Our objective is not to be reviewing those rules to make sure facility is, testing animals or whatnot. Yeah.
Okay.
So that was my intention, and I had a conversation with Ledge Council and Council over at AAFM. They agreed that this meets that objective and it's cleaner.
John, you have a question?
That's the last time I was recusing myself this one.
Yep. Okay, any questions, board members, on this particular, on item 4A? Seeing none, can I get a motion to accept? Okay, I have a motion to accept as presented, and do I have a second? And I have a second. Okay, we'll take a roll call vote. All those in favor will signify by saying yes, and those opposed, no. Nicholas Burnham,
Yes.
Jeff Corey,
Yes.
Richard Craig,
Yes.
David Dean absent, Beth,
Yes.
myself, yes. Allison Frazier,
Yes.
Neil Hogan,
Yes.
Linda Hook absent, Ryan Kilborn,
Yes.
Paul Noel,
Yes.
Robert Patterson,
Yes.
and John, you are abstaining. And Martin Van Buren.
Yes.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. Rule passes 11-0. Okay, next item is 4B, which is 10 VSA, Section 33 Moose Management Rule.
No changes were made to this rule between your second vote and LPAR's approval. As a brief overview and reminder, the changes include the institution of a special opportunity season for eligible hunters that would allow them to hunt with a rifle during the archery season. An extension of the regular season from 6 to 9 days to include a second weekend, and clarification of the permit auction and allocation language for consistency with statute.
Did Elcar have any questions about this or any of the?
They didn't have any. They were interested in the number of moose in the state.
Yeah.
I think that was their only.
Generic moose question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Not about the proposed changes.
Okay.
Is this all the whole deer room? With where we're shooting those?
No, this is just the moose section,
The moose section.
Jeff. Yeah, for the special opportunity and the extension of the dates, so on. Okay, seeing no other hands or no other questions, can I get a motion? To accept, okay, and I have a second, okay. I'll take a roll call vote. Again, all those in favor will say yes and opposed, no. Nicholas Burnham,
Yes.
Jeff Corey,
Yes.
Richard Craig,
Yes.
David Dean absent, Beth Dimeling,
Yes.
Brad Ferlin, yes. Allison Frazier,
Yes.
Neil Hogan,
Yes.
Linda Hook absent, Ryan Kilburn,
Yes.
Paul Noel,
Yes.
Robert Patterson,
Yes.
John Val San Giacomo,
Yes.
and Martin Van Buren.
Yes.
Yes, motion passes 12-0. Okay, next on to the deer management rule.
Section 37.
Yep.
As an overview, the proposed changes include establishing the boundaries of expanded archery zones in the state, moving the youth weekend back to the weekend before the regular season, reinstating the antler point restriction in WMU T1, allowing antlerless permits to be used during the regular season, removing the archery season closure during the regular season, allowing hunters to hold 2 antlerless permits in different WMUs, allowing hunters to take an additional second buck, and as approved by the board before the second vote, the rule changes also include an extension of the December muzzleloader season 5 days to begin on Monday following the close of the regular season.
Okay. Any questions? Anybody?
I'd just like to point out that
back in the 80s, early 80s, it was the legislature that stopped the taking of does during the regular rifle season. It was not the department. So questions for the department. How does the department see the allocation of permits? How many permits would the department issue? Because under the current way we're doing it, there's thousands that are being issued for doe. But since you're going to take doe during rifle season, how would that look? It's just an example.
So we would adjust permit number, obviously the first year or two, we're gonna have to guess at success rates for the most part. As I mentioned before, we're going to assume considerably higher success rates in the first year, somewhere statewide on the order of 25%. So work through that math and get to whatever target number of analysts here we're trying to take. In the vast majority of the state, at least at present, we don't know where we're going to be in 2026, right? But like at present, we're not trying to take any more deer than would be under our current system. So we're gonna have to reduce the number of permits, assuming higher success rates. So I don't know exactly what that would look like, but if I was ballparking, total permits statewide would probably be in the 15 to 18,000 range instead of 24,000.
So based on the results of the first year or second year, if you get to the numbers that you want, is the department willing to stop the practice of taking does during rifle season?
We would have to review that at that time and decide if it's no longer necessary and people don't want to do it, then sure, we would consider that. But we would have to be able to determine that it is not necessary. If we can reach that point, then we would consider such a thing.
And you would still maintain the 4 limit and taking doe the other seasons.
Again, all of this stuff is potentially up for discussion.
Right.
Nothing is set in stone.
I got one more clarification. And it has to do with the use of where is it? Lures, deer lures. Would synthetics still be allowed?
We did not change that part of the rule. So
I have a question, Nick. One thing I'm not clear about is, so this year there was an antlerless lottery. You applied for a permit and there was a lottery. And this year it's very clear that when you win a permit, you have to use it during either the early muzzleloader season or the late muzzleloader season. That's pretty clear. I'm not certain how this proposal is going to work in terms of a lottery. There will be one lottery. And will you be applying for just an antlerless permit? And then it'll be your choice to use it either in an early season, rifle season, or muzzleloader season?
correct.
Okay. So then it gets back to the question I think Ryan asked. There are people who just muzzleloader hunt. And if now we're going to have a significant higher number of people, in theory, applying for the permits because they hunt just during rifle season, how do we assure that there are permits left over for people who just muzzleloader hunt? And that's just a challenge that in my mind, I want to make sure that people who just muzzleload hunt have that same opportunity and don't lose that opportunity.
Well, into that endless discussion on how to equitably distribute permits, right? But in any of the zones where we're likely to run into people having a significantly lower chance of getting a permit than they do now, they already don't have 100% chance of getting a permit. So there's zones that we sell out all the time.
Yep.
There's no guarantee. Their odds will be lower, but it's a lottery. That's the nature of a lottery. And I guess to that end, I would argue that right now, we issue a lot of permits. You know, it's been a good stretch. People have lots of opportunity, all the permits they want. But if we get a few hard winters in a row and your numbers dropped, and we just reduced permit numbers because the population was down to cut them in half, say, from what they are, we wouldn't be having this discussion about it's not fair that people can't get permits, right? So we have to be careful about, I understand people want opportunity, but we have to balance that with managing the peers.
And the other second question I had, I just thought about it, is so as we move into year 1, year 2, and year 3, what flexibility, or is there any flexibility in the rule, the way it's written, to move permits from one season to the other? Or is it, as it is, it will be, you win an antlerless permit and then it gets used and there's no flexibility from that?
As the rule is currently written, get an antlerless permit, it is your choice.
Okay. So the only flexibility we have as a board is, again, voting on the number of permits that we're going to be authorizing on an annual basis, and everything else will be rule driven next time we take up the rule.
Let's clarify. You have to remember, you're voting on number of permits for each wildlife management unit. So you could suggest 0. Some of them only have 100 this year. So that gives you the flexibility to say, no, we're not giving permits out 90% of WMUs if they don't need them.
One question I had is just on the process. Is like it seems like we have to vote on all or nothing. Did it have to be that way, or could we have voted on each individual rule?
It's part of the rule.
Yeah.
But that's more of a legal question. But ultimately, you need to approve one full rule. I mean, and we did last time walk through each part one by one.
Right.
We needed one final kind of overarching approval because ultimately it is one rule. So you're approving the whole language of the rule.
I guess I don't like the one whole thing. And then we'll
That's what I was wondering. Yeah.
I mean,
There's only one thing, it's a problem.
it's the dose. That's it. Yeah.
Well, so I guess the question is then for Hannah, as this is presented on the agenda, it is one vote on the entirety of the rule.
That's correct. Because this was the rule, this is the language that was approved during the second vote and then subsequently approved by Alcar. If the board does not vote to adopt the rule as approved by Alcar, we would need to take whatever changes were made back to essentially the public notice and comment period, start back at that.
And if that happened, would there be time to get it into 2026 law digest?
It would not be in the digest. My understanding from John is that that's a quick deadline. I think we typically have the digest finalized by the beginning of August.
Okay, any other questions?
Yes, I just had a question about, at the last meeting, there was concern brought up about maybe we should have a requirement for hunter's orange, for all hunters during hunting season. I'm wondering where we're at with that.
Well, that is outside of this rule. And where we had left that conversation was that Hannah was going to do some research and then bring it to us at some future meeting to have that discussion. And it wasn't on the agenda tonight, so we'll be looking at one of the next couple of meetings to have that discussion.
Yeah, we can provide a quick update during the commissioner's update.
Okay.
It's not, that discussion was not part of this changes to the deer language.
Yeah. Okay.
It's highly recommended in the in the guide to where.
Yes.
It is, and several of us are higher ed instructors, and at those classes, we talk about it constantly to the students.
Again, it's a good discussion, but that's a discussion outside of what this rule is. It's currently on the floor for debate. So any other questions relative to 10 VSCA section 37 deer management rule? How did Elcar, any comments from Elcar on this one?
There was one member of the committee who voted no. And he provided some comments from his constituents that were concerns about individuals posting their land to prevent more hunters, I guess, during the regular season. I don't know if I'm capturing it correctly.
I think it was wide-ranging concerns, but same concerns that you all heard from the public.
Most of the land, nothing safe.
And Elkhart voted on it in its entirety, correct?
That's correct.
How many voted yes, unless how many are on it?
The whole committee wasn't there, but there was just one no vote. I think there were, I want to say, 7 members of the committee in the room.
I think there were 5 other members. Voted yes.
Okay, any other questions? John?
The question, more of a process. Last meeting, questions asked about the process, first vote, second vote, Elcar, and come back to third vote. If I heard it right, is that not typical, is third vote, or is that standard? After Elcar proves it, I thought someone said, maybe I misunderstood, this board chose to have a third vote, but we didn't necessarily have to do that. Am I wrong?
No, that's correct. So under the APA, once LCAR is approved rule, there is no further administrative requirements. The agency can just file with the Secretary of State as approved by LCAR. This board has adopted a process where there is a third vote following LCAR's approval to adopt the approved rule. So it's a long-standing practice, but it's not a legal requirement for the APA to have a third vote.
Right, I'm not trying to work that off, but if it's that in conflict, like if we do a third vote, then it's not an issue. That's fine.
No, it would be the same as in any administrative agency context. You know, LCAR could approve the rule, and the next day we could sit down and say, we actually want to start over at square one.
Because
So
it has been filed with Secretary of State.
that's correct.
Once it's filed with Secretary of State, we've added an extra step. It's not.
Yeah, and it's largely because this board, is only meets once a month, and it gives you another opportunity to have this final approval after the third vote does become necessary in contexts where, for example, LCAR files formal objection, because in that case, this is just an example. The agency can still decide to adopt a rule over LCAR's objection, but obviously the board would want to have the opportunity to discuss their options there.
Any more questions? Okay, seeing none, we will take a roll call vote and we will be voting.
We have to motion.
Yes, we do. Thank you very much. Just a small step. If there are no other questions, can I get a motion on the proposed rule?
Make a motion to adopt the deer management rule 37.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion. I have a second to adopt the rule as presented, and we will do a roll call vote. Everybody who's in favor signify by saying yes. Opposed, no. We'll start with Nicholas Burnham.
Yes.
Jeff Corey.
No.
Richard Craig.
Yes.
David Dean is absent. Beth Dimling.
Yes.
Brad Ferlin, no. Allison Frazier,
Yes.
Neil Hogan,
No.
Linda Hook, absent. Ryan Kilborn,
Yes.
Paul Noel,
Yes.
Robert Patterson,
Yes.
John Val San Giacomo,
No.
Martin Van Buren.
No.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 no's. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 yeses. If my math is correct. So 7-5, the rule as presented passes.
And one additional note on the rules, the deer management, and turkey rule will have an effective date of January 1st, 2026. So none of these changes will be in effect for the upcoming fall season. The moose management rule will have an earlier effective date, but the extended season will not go into effect until 2026. And the carcass import rule will have an immediate date.
Okay. Next, we have the commissioner's update.
All right. I guess one update, this will be my last meeting as the interim commissioner. Jason Batchelder will be stepping in to take the commissioner role, and he will begin at the end of this month. The two of us will double fill the position just to help with the transition, and he'll take over the role fully at the end of August. So it's been a pleasure working with you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brad and I just spoke. We aren't going to have a meeting in August. The next board meeting will be in September. An agenda to come. Wanted to address the Hunter Orange question. We've talked about it, and the department feels like we need to get a little more information to really understand where hunters are and how people who's actually wearing Hunter Orange right now and who supports this. So we're going to be working with our business office to start collecting some data in a survey throughout when people buy their licenses. And yeah, it will be just a short separate rule. If we decided to go forward with the change, it would just be a short separate rule aside from this deer rule. And so we're just don't feel like we're in a place to really offer an informed opinion right now. But looking into it, there's a lot of different variety, like states do a lot of different things. So we just want to make sure we have the information we need.
So is there an existing rule or would this be a new rule?
It would be a new rule.
It'd be a new rule. Okay.
So
Yeah.
Would it be under big game rules or?
Good question. I'm gonna throw it to Hannah.
I think that there's probably room for some discussion, but we would want any kind of requirement to have broad applicability. So we'd want it to apply generally. I mean, the rule itself could potentially specify which seasons it apply to. Different states will have different requirements depending on the season, whether it's archery or regular season. So my initial thought was that it would be a separate rule that would specify when the requirements were applicable.
So, guess moving on. We also spoke at the meeting last time about increasing the payment for check stations for checking in big game. We've been paying $1 per animal, same price since 1971, which is a long time ago. And so we crunched some numbers. We were looking for, if we were looking for like a bump up to $5 per animal, that would cost the department an additional $80,000 every year, which frankly we don't have right now. And so that's really the only significant barrier that we see to that right now. I think that does sit with the board authority, but we would need to get administrative support if we were to try to move that forward. And
So I brought that up, and what I was, probably not very clear, but what I was trying to do, there are two things that happen when someone checks in a deer. They do the legal component of they check in the deer and they report the deer and it reports to you and then it's on record.
Yep.
And that obligation has been met.
Yep.
The second piece, which is the piece I think that takes a lot of time for store owners, is their willingness to go weigh the deer for the hunter who wants to know how big of a deer they have.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the piece that I think is causing a lot of the, places to close because of the time it takes to do that and offer
Mm-hmm.
that service and have to keep somebody else in the store while they do that. And what I was proposing is that keep the state right out of it and let those store owners charge $1, $2, $3, or collect contributions from people who are willing to give $5 to have their deer reported in. Keep the money 100% in the hands of the store owners who offer that service, because that service is not a required service that the state requires. It's just one that they're providing on their own. So if a store owner wants to charge $5, then let them do that and have them keep the entirety of that $5. That's what I was proposing. That may not have been clear, but that's what I was trying to get to. And whether or not they can just do that on their own without even getting state approval. I would think they could, but I don't know that.
it's a little out of my area of expertise.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But that's what I wasn't advocating for an increased fee, that people pay. I was just more talking about the need for keeping these check stations open, first and foremost.
Yeah.
And secondly, finding out a way to do that.
If I may.
Yeah.
Because we have looked into this.
Yeah.
My entire tenure repeatedly.
Yeah.
Wanted to pay them $5.
Yeah.
Since my second year.
Yeah.
10.
Yeah.
But we have looked into exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like Maine does that, right? You check a deer, you pay $5. We asked that in a survey. I cannot remember what survey exactly what year, but hunters were strongly opposed. Like 90+% said, nope, I will not pay to check my deer. And they're not used to it, so maybe that matters, maybe it doesn't. But that's what we ran into is that hunters would be very averse to that. Now, on the other part, we do not require station behavior.
Yeah.
That is an optional service for hunters.
Yeah.
And if a station is okay with the hunter weighing the deer and they never go outside, that is perfectly acceptable under our current system.
Yeah.
It's just not, I guess, the norm. So people don't necessarily know that.
They weigh more when they do that. And I'll take a moose permit every year. Not trade, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, anyway, I think the landscape has probably changed since the last time that maybe that survey was done too, where there's a lot fewer check stations now than there
a lot
were.
of things, and I will also add that, one of the things we really looked into is why we're losing stations.
Yeah.
And the vast majority of the stations we lose are because the business closes or sells. It has
Yeah.
nothing- They don't just stop being a check station, but stay open. They just, business closes. And then.
They're gonna make a lot of sales during that. When you go and report a deer, you walk out of there with a,
None.
really?
Turkey's the same way, deer, all of it. No,
I always leave money when I leave.
it's rare. If I had coffee and donuts, I probably would, or soda, but no, it's nothing. No.
I think that the voluntary idea is good. Most people are in a good mood when they get a deer to throw $5 or a hat, $10.
Nice. It's happened, but I mean, it's rare. It's rare.
But it goes to standard.
Yeah.
There's a sign up.
It's usually when it's pouring.
Put up a
out,
sign
the
that
wind is
says
blowing.
tip the scales.
And it's buckable.
Yeah.
No more buckfuls. No.
And then, Hannah, did you want to give an update just on the appeal, just for everyone?
Yeah, I can just give a high level update. The state's brief is due in October, which indicates that we probably won't be scheduled for oral argument. This is in the appeal of the Vermeer rule until December. And I'm not sure, again, the court I'm not sure how long it will take them to render a decision, but it looks like winter, or early spring would be the soonest we'd know about the final disposition on the rule. We've included the current adopted provisions of the fur bearer rule in the hunting and trapping guide for this year. And, you know, so yes, that's the outlook, that's the timeline.
Yeah, and this probably should be a discussion for another time, but I'm just curious with having now had the first full year of trapping. I think it's just been one full year, right? Of trapping, 2 now. Have we seen any change in the number of trappers? I don't know if there's anybody here to answer this stuff, but just curiosity out of the impact of the new rules on the trapping itself on the fur bearer.
Numbers, Bree was saying there's about the same number of trappers, but it has affected the take on things like Fisher because the bird trap is not currently allowed. So we're waiting for changes. How do you know numbers, how far they were down? I don't have that.
All right, I don't have any other updates.
Okay, thank you. Well, thank you for all your efforts over the last few months.
Yeah.
Very appreciated. Best of luck. I'm hoping you're staying with the department.
I plan to, yeah.
Yeah, good. Good. Anybody have any questions? If not, I have a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Enjoy your summer evening.
For your comment. Okay.